It all started on a lazy Sunday afternoon. The kind of day where the sun filters through the curtains just right, casting a warm, golden glow across the living room. My wife, Claire, was sitting cross-legged on the floor, sorting through a pile of clothes she had pulled out of the closet. She had this habit of periodically going through her wardrobe, deciding what to keep, what to donate, and what to throw away. I was sprawled on the couch, half watching a football game, half watching her. There was something mesmerizing about the way she moved, the way she held up each piece of clothing, scrutinizing it with a critical eye before making her decision. "You know," she said suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between us, "you look good in this." I glanced over, curious. She was holding up a soft, flowing blouse in a shade of lavender that seemed to shimmer in the light. It was one of her favorites, something she wore on special occasions. I chuckled, shaking my head.
Yeah, right.
I'd look ridiculous. Claire tilted her head, studying me with that thoughtful expression she got when she was about to propose something she knew I'd resist. "I'm serious. You have the shoulders for it. And your skin tone would work really well with this color." I laughed again, but there was a part of me that was intrigued. Claire had always been the more adventurous one in our relationship, the one who pushed boundaries and encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone. She had a way of making the impossible seem possible, and the ridiculous seem, well, less ridiculous. "Come on," she said, standing up and holding out the blouse. "Just try it on. For fun." I hesitated, glancing at the TV where the game was still playing. "I don't know, Claire." She pouted, giving me that look that always made me cave. "Please? Just for me." I sighed, knowing I was defeated.
Fine.
"But only because you're impossible to say no to." Claire grinned, her eyes lighting up with excitement. She handed me the blouse and then started rummaging through the pile of clothes again, pulling out a skirt that matched the blouse perfectly. "Here, put this on too." I stared at the clothes in my hands, feeling a strange mix of apprehension and curiosity. I had never worn women's clothes before, not even as a joke. But there was something about the way Claire was looking at me, so eager and encouraging, that made me want to try. "Okay," I said, standing up. "But if I look ridiculous, you have to promise not to laugh." Claire crossed her heart with her finger. "Promise." I took the clothes and headed to the bedroom, closing the door behind me. As I stood there, holding the blouse and skirt, I felt a strange flutter in my chest. It was excitement, I realized. Excitement mixed with a little bit of fear. What would I look like? Would I really be able to pull this off? I took a deep breath and started to undress, folding my clothes neatly and setting them aside. Then, slowly, I pulled on the blouse. The fabric was soft against my skin, lighter and more delicate than anything I had ever worn before. It felt nice. I buttoned it up, surprised at how well it fit. The sleeves were a little tight around my biceps, but otherwise, it was surprisingly comfortable. Next, I stepped into the skirt. It was a bit trickier to figure out how to fasten it, but after a few moments of fumbling, I managed to get it on. The waistband hugged my hips snugly, and the fabric flowed down to just above my knees. I looked down at myself, feeling a strange sense of disbelief. I didn't look ridiculous. In fact, I looked good. I turned to the mirror, my heart pounding in my chest. The person staring back at me was both familiar and unfamiliar. The blouse and skirt transformed my silhouette, softening my edges and giving me a more feminine shape. I ran my hands over the fabric, marveling at how different it felt to be wearing something so pretty. There was a knock on the door, and Claire's voice called out, "Are you ready?" I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves.
Yeah.
"Come in." The door opened, and Claire stepped inside. Her eyes widened as she took in the sight of me, and for a moment, she just stood there, staring. Then, a slow smile spread across her face. "Oh my God," she said, her voice filled with awe. "You look amazing." I felt a blush creep up my cheeks. "You're not just saying that?" Claire shook her head, stepping closer. "No, I mean it. You look beautiful." The way she said it, so sincerely, made my heart swell. I had never thought of myself as beautiful before, but in that moment, I believed her. She reached out, adjusting the collar of the blouse and smoothing out the skirt. "You know, we could do your makeup too, just to complete the look." I hesitated, but the excitement in her eyes was contagious. "Okay, but go easy on me." Claire laughed, grabbing my hand and pulling me toward the bathroom. "Don't worry, I'll make you look fabulous." We spent the next hour in the bathroom, Claire carefully applying makeup to my face. She started with foundation, blending it into my skin until it was smooth and even. Then came the eyeshadow, a soft, shimmery shade that made my eyes pop. She lined my eyes with a thin stroke of eyeliner and finished with a coat of mascara that made my lashes look longer and fuller than I ever thought possible. Finally, she applied a light pink lipstick, stepping back to admire her work.
There.
"What do you think?" I turned to the mirror, my breath catching in my throat. The person staring back at me was unrecognizable. The makeup had softened my features, making me look more feminine than I ever had before. I looked pretty, really pretty. I don't know what to say," I stammered, feeling a lump form in my throat. Claire smiled, wrapping her arms around me from behind and resting her chin on my shoulder. "You look stunning. I always knew you had it in you." I leaned back into her embrace, feeling a sense of warmth and contentment that I hadn't felt in a long time. It was strange, but in that moment, I felt more like myself than I ever had before. Over the next few weeks, Claire and I continued to experiment with my new look. She helped me pick out more clothes, showing me how to mix and match different pieces to create outfits that suited my style. We spent hours in front of the mirror, practicing different makeup techniques and hairstyles. It became our little ritual, something we did together that brought us closer than ever before. At first, I was nervous about going out in public dressed as a woman. But Claire was always there, encouraging me and reassuring me that I looked amazing. Slowly, I started to gain confidence. We would go shopping together, and I would try on clothes in the store, feeling a thrill of excitement every time I stepped out of the dressing room to show Claire. One day, as we were walking through the mall, Claire turned to me and said, "You know, you could totally pass as a woman. Like no one would even know." I felt a rush of pride at her words, but also a pang of uncertainty. "Do you really think so?" Claire nodded, her eyes serious. "I do, and I think you should consider it. Living as a woman, I mean." I stopped in my tracks, staring at her. "What are you saying?" She took my hand, squeezing it gently. "I'm saying that if this is something you want, if it makes you happy, then you should go for it. I'll support you no matter what." Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the magnitude of what she was offering. She was giving me permission to be myself, to explore this side of me that I had always kept hidden. It was a gift, one that I would never be able to repay. I don't know what to say," I whispered, my voice trembling. Claire smiled, pulling me into a hug. "You don't have to say anything. Just know that I love you no matter what." From that moment on, I started to seriously consider the possibility of transitioning. It wasn't an easy decision, and there were times when I doubted myself, when I wondered if I was making the right choice. But Claire was always there, reminding me that it was okay to be who I was, that I didn't have to hide anymore. We started seeing a therapist together, someone who specialized in gender identity issues. It was a safe space where I could talk about my feelings and explore my identity without fear of judgment. With Claire's support and the guidance of our therapist, I began to take small steps toward transitioning. I started hormone therapy, and over time, I began to notice changes in my body. My skin became softer, my features more delicate. I started to feel more comfortable in my own skin, more like the person I had always wanted to be. Claire and I also started to think about how we wanted to present ourselves to the world. We decided that I would start living as a woman full-time and that we would introduce me as her wife. It was a big step, but it felt right. The first time we went out together as a married couple, with me dressed as a woman, was both terrifying and exhilarating. I was nervous about how people would react, but Claire held my hand the entire time, her presence giving me the strength I needed to face the world. To my surprise, no one batted an eye. We were just another couple, shopping and laughing together. It was a revelation, realizing that I could live my life as a woman and no one would question it. As time went on, I became more and more comfortable in my new role. I started to think of myself not as a man who dressed as a woman, but as a woman, plain and simple. It was a profound shift in my identity, one that brought me a sense of peace and fulfillment that I had never known before. Claire and I grew closer through the process, our bond deepening as we navigated this new chapter of our lives together. She was my rock, my biggest supporter, and my best friend. I couldn't have done it without her. One evening, as we were getting ready for bed, Claire turned to me and said, "You know, I'm really proud of you." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. "I'm proud of us. We've come a long way." She nodded, her eyes filled with love.
We have.
And I wouldn't change a thing. As I lay there, wrapped in her arms, I felt a sense of gratitude that was almost overwhelming. I had found the courage to be myself, to live my truth, and I had done it with the love and support of the most amazing person I had ever known. I had become a wife, not just in name, but in every sense of the word. And I couldn't have been happier. The journey of self-discovery and transformation didn't end there. In fact, it felt like it was only the beginning. As I settled into my new identity, I began to notice subtle shifts in how I saw myself and how the world saw me. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a version of me that had always been there, waiting to emerge. Claire and I decided to take things a step further by legally changing my name and gender marker. It was a process that required patience and paperwork, but it was worth it. The day I held my new ID in my hands, with my chosen name and the letter F under gender, I felt a surge of pride and relief. It was official now. I was her. I was me. With my new identity came a newfound confidence. I started to embrace my femininity in ways I never thought possible. I experimented with different styles, from casual jeans and blouses to elegant dresses that made me feel like I was walking on air. Claire was my biggest cheerleader, always ready with a compliment or a suggestion. She even taught me how to walk in heels, though I stumbled more times than I'd like to admit. But she never laughed, well, not in a mean way. Her laughter was always warm and encouraging, like she was proud of me for trying. One of the most transformative moments came when we decided to host a small gathering at our home. It was the first time I would present as myself to our friends and family. I was nervous, of course, but Claire assured me that everyone who mattered would be supportive. And she was right. The evening of the gathering, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the hem of my dress, a deep emerald green number that Claire had picked out for me. It hugged my curves in all the right places, and the fabric shimmered under the light. My makeup was flawless, thanks to Claire's steady hand, and my hair, which I had been growing out, cascaded in soft waves over my shoulders. "You look incredible," Claire said, appearing behind me in the mirror. She was wearing a matching dress in a complementary shade, and I couldn't help but smile at how perfectly we looked together. "Thanks to you," I replied, turning to face her. "I wouldn't be here without you." She kissed me gently, her lips soft against mine. "You've always been here. You just needed a little help finding your way." When the doorbell rang, my heart skipped a beat. Claire squeezed my hand and went to answer it. I took a deep breath, smoothing my dress one last time, and followed her. Our friends and family greeted me with smiles and hugs, their reactions filled with warmth and acceptance. No one questioned or judged. They simply embraced me for who I was. It was a powerful reminder of how much love and support I had in my life. As the evening went on, I found myself relaxing and enjoying the company. I laughed, I chatted, and for the first time, I felt like I was truly living as myself. It was liberating, like I had finally stepped into the life I was meant to lead. Over the next few months, Claire and I settled into a new rhythm. We became a team in every sense of the word, navigating the challenges and joys of life together. I started to explore my interests more deeply, taking up hobbies that I had always been curious about but never felt comfortable pursuing. I joined a book club, started painting, and even took a few dance classes. Each new experience felt like a step toward becoming the person I was always meant to be. One of the most unexpected developments was how my relationship with Claire evolved. We had always been close, but now there was a deeper level of intimacy and understanding between us. She saw me in a way no one else ever had, and I felt the same about her. Our love grew stronger, rooted in the trust and vulnerability we had shared throughout this journey. One evening, as we were curled up on the couch watching a movie, Claire turned to me and said, "You know, I've been thinking, what if we renewed our vows?" I blinked, surprised. "Our vows?" She nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been through so much together and we've both changed in so many ways. I think it would be beautiful to celebrate that, to reaffirm our commitment to each other as the people we are now. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized how much her words meant to me. "That sounds perfect," I whispered. And so, we began planning our vow renewal ceremony. It was a small, intimate affair, held in our backyard under a canopy of twinkling lights. Claire wore a stunning white gown, and I chose a soft blush-colored dress that made me feel like a princess. As we stood before our closest friends and family, holding hands and looking into each other's eyes, I felt a sense of peace and joy that I had never known before. "I vow to love you, support you, and stand by you, no matter what life brings," Claire said, her voice steady and full of emotion. "And I vow to do the same," I replied, my heart swelling with love. "You've shown me what it means to be truly seen and loved for who I am. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to give you even a fraction of the happiness you've given me." As we exchanged rings and sealed our vows with a kiss, I knew that this was just the beginning of our story. We had faced challenges and triumphs together, and we had come out stronger on the other side. And now, as we stood there, surrounded by love and light, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life we had built together. In the months that followed, I continued to grow and evolve, both as a woman and as a partner. Claire and I faced new adventures together, from traveling to new places to pursuing our dreams. We became advocates for the LGBTQ+ community, sharing our story to inspire and support others who might be on a similar journey. Looking back, it's hard to believe how far I've come. From that first moment of trying on Claire's clothes to standing proudly as her wife, I've learned so much about love, courage, and the power of being true to oneself. And through it all, Claire's been my constant, my guiding light. As I sit here now, writing this story, I can't help but smile. Life is a journey, and mine has been filled with twists and turns I never could have predicted. But one thing remains certain: I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I am a wife, a partner, and most importantly, I am me. And that is the greatest gift of all. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.